self-appointed people in self-appointed posts who are not willing to change are very much getting in our way. People's lack of ability to talk to each other, personal politics and personality, that's really what's at the end of it all.
Stop being polite and get on with it. Sometimes people hold back in what they think, fear of repercussion, I suppose, and because we're in such a close, tight environment.
Stop being so focused on processes and mechanisms and look at real leadership and saying a clear message, very, very clear to the world and not just to other CVSs or whoever's in the sector.
There's a lot of people out there with a lot of ideas, a lot of visions, have got some idea of direction and purpose of how to get things done and it needs these people to step forward and not be afraid to voice their opinions and thoughts.
We're here to build a new vision of what life and society can be, and that we want to be in the forefront of shaping that, and that we're not here to just plaster over the cracks and add patches to bits of society that seem to be quite badly broken. But we're here about a vision for a new kind of a society, and we should articulate that strongly and show leadership.
Because I think if we're not challenged and we're not made to think about these issues, then we'll just go on doing the same as we've always done. And as the world changes and as the sector tries to galvanise itself to be more proactive, I think the organisations that don't take time to think about where they fit and how they might adapt will find that they're the ones who aren't able to contribute and may not, be able to thrive. And I think it's important that we all, take that time out to reflect, because reflecting on what we do is at the basis of making sure that you're doing the right thing and you're doing it well.
We're a voluntary service. We're not there to make lots and lots of money, but I think we have to be sustainable, and I think we really, really need to bring that out in the report, that yeah, a lot of us are charities or non-profit organisations, but that doesn't mean that we can't charge a small fee and be sustainable and be less dependent on grants.
Funding, longer term funding for organisations, not only to get them off the ground and to help them then, whether it's staff and to help them deliver a service, then funding seems to stop when these organisations are left on their own and organisations close for funding. They need a wee bit more security, a wee bit more sustainability. It's not always about innovative and new organisations. They need to fund organisations that's delivering a service well.
But we certainly need resources in terms of funding, which I think is cost effective. For to do it that way, and I'm sure the government, if they look at that, they'll see that that is self-sustainable and is enrichment as well as being profitable in the end.
I know at the moment the Scottish Government, they're saying yeah, we're great, we're there, but I do think the third sector needs more recognition. I think a lot of people still see the third sector very much as rattling the charity can in the street. I don't think they realise what service we do offer and can offer, so I don't think we're used to our full potential.
If we find ourselves in a position where the infrastructure doesn't exist, I feel that we could be in a position where the whole sector falls to bits very, very quickly. But in terms of the kind of general shift to a kind of more activism-based kind of community towards a greener community, these are the essential items that I think the voluntary sector are really good at bringing forward.
And so I think that as SVA develops, one way that we'll definitely be able to be more effective is if there are better routes into finding out exactly who different CVSs and volunteer centres are and where they are and how we talk to them and who are the right people to talk to, because at the moment it's quite difficult to map that.
It is a barrier to our engagement with local authorities and central government if we don't have something that is coherent. So I think that there is a need to really look at it, not just from our own individual positions, but also to say, okay, what's good for the sector here and take the difficult decisions.
We've got the most developed infrastructure in the world here in Scotland, and we can be proud of that in lots of ways, but does it work as well as it might? I think the answer is probably no.
I think certainly for think tank participants, it's been just really useful for us to widen out the work that we've been doing, to get other views, other perspectives, and to be able to take that back into the group when we go back, because we don't want it just to be insular, we want it to be across the sector.
instead of us all working individually, they see the need to come together as a collective voice, and yeah, I think the sector can only flourish for that.
The demands of the coalface often mean it's difficult for voluntary organisations to find time to learn together, reflect on their own support needs and share their wider aspirations for the sector. For such a diverse sector, our delegates shared some common perspectives on the leadership, relationships, structure and sustainability of voluntary sector umbrella support organisations. They gave some clear messages for the think tanks. Be courageous, offer some real leadership and think big and bold. But now it's over to you. How well are your support needs met by the existing infrastructure? What might be done to enable you to make even more of a difference to the people and communities you serve? How can we make support services more joined up and easier to access? To make your voice heard, visit the Think Tank website or email your comments to us. To find out more about the Supporting Voluntary Action programme, visit the SVA website or contact the programme team. It's your sector. You can make sure the support it receives is the support you need.